watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics on Filter. Tonight, Vedat Gashi, Chairman of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, is making headlines. I want to talk about his challenger, Dan Brenda, Republican, who seeks to take out Vedat Gashi in the upcoming elections. Hear what he has to say about transparency in elections, and I think it's important what he's saying there. Let's talk about it. It's crazy. Another scandal at the Board of Elections. Vedat Gashi actually doing the same thing that Chris Johnson resigned over. First, I want to talk about a body being found here in the city of Yonkers inside an apartment. Suspicious death now under investigation. A woman's body was found on Tuesday night. This was on August 29th at an apartment building in Yonkers at 48 Saratoga Avenue. Detective Sergeant Frank DiCosmizio. I got to get your name right, Detective. Yonkers police are now investigating the death because of suspicious circumstances. Also adding that more information about the incident will be known when the woman's autopsy results come back later this Wednesday. A body being found. This is a possible, criminal activity. Maybe someone killed her. In New York City, this is, school's beginning to start, folks. And I know we're excited about it. We all are. First day is on Thursday, September 7th. NYC is rushing to enroll students into the schools ahead of September 7th. And I want to talk about that. We did get several, more than several, I'm not sure the total amount of migrants that we have here, but they did fill up the Ramada Inn on Tuckahoe Road. Many of them with women and children. I believe about 18 of them were children, many single women, some men. It looked like a lot of couples, though. When I'm driving down Tuckahoe, I see, mom and dad with a stroller and a baby in it. So I see a lot of couples. And they're going to need, to be enrolled. They're saying that they cannot be denied an education regardless of their immigration status. And so what's that going to look like here in the city of Yonkers? First day. New York City education officials were scrambling Tuesday to enroll a staggering nearly 20,000 migrant kids by the start of school in 2 days. I mean, the schools in the city, forget it. Overcrowding is not even the word. About 19,000 kids live in temporary housing, most of them asylum seekers, according to recent numbers. And the fact is that many American students have been already living in temporary housing for years. Many students are classified as homeless. A huge percentage in the New York City public schools. A huge percentage are classified as homeless. These are students who live with family members, relatives, aunts, uncles, so, grandmas, their friends even, mom, dad, having to live with these individuals because they can't afford their own place. There's actually people living under bodegas. That's right. There's a classification in New York City for students who live under bodegas. So what is that going to look like here in the city of Yonkers as they scramble to figure it out in the city of New York, right? A Long Island City holiday intern shelter. Johanna Silva, 46, said her 11-year-old son was registering for the 7th grade at the Queens Academy for New Americans, a middle school located inside Astoria. And so a lot of people are upset. Have you guys been watching the news? I don't know I don't watch mainstream media, so I'm not really watching CNN nor Fox. I'm not watching CNBC. ABC 7. I don't really know, but I do watch a lot of independent individuals. So I don't know what they're saying in terms of the schools and the kids and and how the people who are Americans, the New Yorkers who live here, right, feel about it. In Staten Island, they're going crazy over there, crazy, but in other boroughs as well. And it's not just white people for those who are saying this is about race. This is not about race. I mean, you got people of all ethnicities protesting this. I mean, people who they look like migrants themselves, but they happen to be American citizens and have been here for a while, right? Are even protesting this. I mean, all people, black, white, Hispanic, Indian, Asian, young, old, men and women protesting. I mean, to the point where it's getting out of hand. Cops are having to, go into the crowds, and people have been arrested. Little kids are even out there protesting the migrants. One young girl was talking on the news, and she was saying how she felt uncomfortable that migrants were being housed across the street from her school. I don't know. I don't know what to think. What do you guys think? I mean, is that a legitimate fear? Maybe even if there's not a concern of being harmed or crime, I think the overall quality of many neighborhoods are being disrupted. And I think that's what people don't like. They don't want that. And I get it. I mean, you move into a neighborhood for specific reasons. I get it. I get it. But here's an issue. COVID-19 increases in cases spark concern at start of school year. I know this is going to be a thing now. I'm sensing it. Many people are predicting that we're going to see another pandemic. I mean, folks, not to worry you, but Bill Gates put out another pandemic scenario video, similar to the one he did prior to the pandemic, the COVID-19. I mean, literally months. He put out a simulation of exactly what happened, from the way people react, from the way the news would report it, from the censoring on social media. Everything was predicted, and he's doing it again. Pandemic 2, it's almost like a sequel. We're in a movie here. And now they're talking about it because school is beginning. There's always plenty of anxiety at the start of a new school year, but that's especially true now due to increased COVID-19 cases. Now we're seeing an increase, right? They waited all summer. Now we're going to see it. COVID-related hospitalizations have increased in the U.S. for 6 straight weeks, with a 19% increase reported in the most recent week. The White House announced that First Lady Jill Biden tested positive for COVID on Monday morning, September 5th, and is experiencing mild symptoms. Yeah, so that's how they're going to sell it to us. The First Lady has it, not the president. The First Lady, he tested negative after she tested positive. But here we go again. This is the psychological conditioning, grooming, if you will, that they're doing, which is why I don't watch much TV anymore. It's almost like when you're woke, you look at TV and you're like, what is going on? People are really just either not knowing what's really happening or just a part of it. It's crazy. I mean, they're purposely destroying this country. That's it. At this point, there's no other way. There's nothing else to say about it. They're purposely destroying this country. I mean, I can't imagine why they would allow this. Why would they allow people to come in here and not be able to handle it? At least if they came in and we were able to handle it, where people weren't sleeping on the streets, people weren't being put into school buildings right before school's going to start, right? Or being placed across the street temporarily, right? If we didn't have what we see happening, then maybe okay. But they were not prepared for it. There's no infrastructure for Americans anymore. I mean, people are complaining. How many homeless people did we see prior to the migrants now camping out all along the streets in New York City and in other cities throughout the country? So I can't imagine that this isn't something that, it's just, we're trying to help. We're trying to be humanitarians here. We're Americans, right? But it's not fair to the homeless people that were sleeping in the streets and didn't get an offer of a Ramada Inn or a Roosevelt Hotel, food and clothing and other supplies and resources, right? They never got that offer. Why weren't they given? Why wasn't it done already? Why haven't the people in Getty Square been placed at the Ramada? Put them in, I mean, if that's what we're doing, you want us to house your migrants, you have to house our homeless. So now they're conditioning us for a new pandemic. COVID-19 cases are increasing. But here's the children, they're not caring if they've been vaccinated. They've actually said this. Enrolled, they have to go to school. So they're allowing migrant children to be in schools without the proper vaccinations, but they want to make sure that your children, right? So they're basically, we're being replaced, right? We're at the top said, They see it. The game is up. The jig is up. We wake up. They're starting to see the lies for what they are. And they're going to, and that's why they punished those people in January, because they wanted to set an example to revolt. But that's all right. Actually, it's written. Right. But Democrats need new voters, right? If they replace us with a certain, right, a certain percent of migrant population, these, imagine, to the Democrats who gave them everything when they came here, right? Although some migrants are, wise about what's going on, and they said they've seen this before in Venezuela here in America, but go ahead and vote Democrat just because, and they need that, as many people, for who they are. Not that the Republicans are so great, but seems to be the worst, right? Don't have a choice but either one of the two. Folks, I want to get the chairman of the Board of Elections. I don't know, why he's not being asked to. Chris Johnson was asked to resign. They put a whole lot of pressure on Chris Johnson over an apartment he had purchased. But this one is a little bit more like kind of, the man is, I think he's rich. He's got a lot of money. This guy, he lives in a home that's almost other investment properties that are valued over $1 million, right? 1.6 affordable co-op. Affordable co-op that's reserved or set aside for those who qualify for affordable housing programs, affordable home ownership programs. So they have to make under a certain amount of money. And now there's no way that Vedat Gashi should have qualified for this program. Yet and still, he bought this home. And like every other affordable housing program, he's supposed to make that his primary residence. It's supposed to be where he stays most of the time of the year. That's the deal. But that's not where he's staying. In New York City, on the Upper Water, through an affordable housing program, and rents it out and includes it as part of his portfolio, in his investment portfolio. So he claims it as an investment property, but it's supposed to be his primary residence. So it's the same thing. Johnson, at least he actually lived there at the time when he purchased an opportunity to buy an investment property with all kinds of debates and tax breaks. But somewhere for him and his wife to live. It's just that he didn't do the right thing. That's where he slipped up. This guy, he don't care. And Vedat Gashi in July said, if it was appropriate to probe Legislator Chris Johnson district and was renting an affordable to vote. 7 weeks later, a mayor of New Rochelle, Democrat, said the county, following a tax watch investigation that found Gashi, Democrat of Yorktown, owns an affordable co-op on Manhattan's Upper West Side residence. Johnson, then the county legislator's majority leader, was committee prepared to hire the investigator. This looks similar. It should be subject to the same investigation, said Mayor. But Gashi said Friday the facts are much different. Right. He has a lot more money. With Johnson, he had forfeited his right to represent the people of the 16th district because he had set up residence in the 15th district. But technically, your residence is supposed to be in Manhattan. Respectfully, I would argue that this situation is very different than Mr. Johnson's. His residency impacted his eligibility for the role. He said in an email, no one is questioning whether I reside in your town. No, what they're questioning is whether or not you should be residing in Manhattan, and that's technically supposed to be your address. And you moved to Yorktown just so you can, people of Westchester, I would imagine, right? Where we have deep roots and my kids attend the public schools. Okay, well, I don't know, he has a baby. Not yet. Mayor's call for the investigation and Development has launched a probe into Gashi's ownership of apartment building at 72 West 88th Street at the corner of Columbus Avenue. It's a great Upper West Side location. Gashi's 4-bedroom co-op is 1 block from Central Park West in an upscale neighborhood filled with restaurants and shops. A stroll 8 block to the Museum of Natural History. With one of the world's finest collections, directly across Central Park at 5th Avenue and East 88th Street stands the Guggenheim Museum, with the classic art on display in the iconic Frank Lloyd Wright masterpiece. It's a neighborhood where a room in a 4-bedroom apartment can rent for $1,800. A room, not the apartment. And a 4-bedroom apartment starts at $8,000 a month. So maybe it's not a question of his residency, right? Maybe it's a question of committing fraud. And maybe if someone is committing fraud, they should not be the chair of the Westchester County Board of Legislators. You bought this apartment knowing that you were never going to live there. That's not his primary address. I agree. I'm sure his Yorktown address is. But he utilized an affordable housing program to take advantage of this apartment that's worth a lot more than what he paid for it in order to rent it out so he can make a good amount of money. And that's it. Preventing someone who is actually in need of an affordable apartment. You're blocking someone while here you are with all this money, able to live wherever you want, buy whatever you want, yet you still want to take away opportunities from those who have less. And that's the problem. That's the issue. And that's why we should ask him to resign, or the board should. It's not right. It's not doing the right thing. The building where Gashi and his wife had owned the affordable cooperative apartment since 2015 keeps monthly charges low with the help of a 75% exemption on its taxable value. He gets a 75% tax exemption. Now, does that tax exemption only apply because you're supposed to be living there? So if they know you're not living there, then you shouldn't be getting that tax exemption? You see? Then that's the problem. Because you're lying to get a 75% tax exemption. I think that's the problem. The building is supposed to serve low-income owners. You're not a low-income owner, Vedat Gashi. We have a housing crisis in the state of New York, and it's people like you that are creating it. The rich people who want to buy everything so they can rent high. You're part of the problem, not the solution here in Westchester. That's a problem. And remember, he is unelected. He was there to replace Catherine Borgia because she had to resign over what some other guy did. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? Gashi said that the co-op board on which he serves as secretary has given him written permission, but you serve as secretary. You don't think they're going to do this favor for you? So that trumps everything, the written permission? He lives in Yorktown in a 4-bedroom home on 1.8 acres. But Gashi has declined to make public that document. The investigation of Johnson was launched by the board's Rule Committee, which has 4 members, the board's minority and majority leaders, and its chair and vice chair. Somer's Republican Dan Branda, who is Gashi's opponent in the November election, called on Gashi to step down as chairman during the pendency of the investigation so the Rules Committee could have a full membership to consider the issue. He needs to step down as chairman, said Brenda. That committee needs all 4 of its members. Seeing that Gashi is one of the members, obviously him deciding on his own faith is not appropriate, right? So he should step down, allow someone to take the place so they can then decide if it should be investigated and if he should resign or not. If it comes up to it, obviously I would not participate in any proceeding where my self-interest is in question. So that's Dan Brenda. Obscene and cynical. Gashi's lawsuit puts a price on ballot access. This is very important right here. I'm glad that this guy, I like this guy, Dan, so far. So far, Dan Brenda, I did tag you. Hopefully you are watching or will watch, and maybe you'd like to come on the show. If you do, reach me at politicwithfred@gmail.com. I'd love to have you on the show, and I'd love to talk about this. I agree with you here. This is a problem. This is a problem. Problem. Lawsuits puts a price on ballot access. We see this happen here in Yonkers, obviously in Westchester, where if someone gets enough signatures on their petition, they are challenged. It's usually the challenger. It's not the incumbents that are challenged. It's usually the more well-known individual, the one with the money, the one that's a part of the Democratic Party and a part of the in crowd. And they will use this, I guess, rule or this, thing that they can do as a tool to keep people off the ballot. So if the person gets enough, they will then challenge them in court. Now, the person who may not have as much money or money at all really has to hire an attorney to now defend this challenge. Many times this gets people off the ballot unless they have a strong support system, a support system that's willing to be there for them with an attorney, as in the case of Carlos Burgos when he was challenged by, what's this guy's name? I forgot his name. John Rubo. I forgot your name, John. Haven't talked about you in a while. Forgot about you. Trying to let you be at ease, man. Pat on the back there, buddy. Be all right. John Rubo, who challenged his signatures, even hiring a handwriting expert to the tune of $10,000, which came from his campaign fund, just to try and prove that Carlos's signatures were fraudulent. It didn't work. He got one of them off, but he didn't get Carlos off, and he almost lost to Carlos, actually. He almost lost. That was a close one, John. That wasn't good. But they do this all the time. They challenged Hector Santiago's very recently. And here's the thing. You go to the Board of Elections. Who you got working up there? People that are a part of the party, the Democratic Party. They're the ones that decide. They're the ones running the show. And that's a problem. And I think that Ron Matten on his podcast on Thursday is going to be talking about that. Should individuals who are officers within a party, like the Democratic Party, also be allowed to work at the Board of Elections? Like, let's say, Tom Meyer Jr., Tubiolo's mom works up there. David Tubiolo's mom, is he back from boot camp? He doesn't have a challenger at all. No challenger. What kind of election is that? What kind of democracy is this? There's no need to vote. That's nonsense. Why doesn't the Republican Party have a challenger for David Tubiolo? Oh, that's right, because his mom did some funny business up at the board election when Giulio Tata challenged him. They didn't want anyone to challenge him because he was going off to boot camp. He needs to be in boot camp while people are running elections. He can't run. He's got to win. And that's all to it. But if someone had challenged him, which they did, Giulio Tata, if it had not been for some voter registration issue he had, he probably would have been challenged in court with his petitions, right? That's what they do. And so it eliminates people. It keeps people from running for office. It discourages individuals from running. Getting petitions is probably the hardest part. It's probably harder than getting the votes, because once you get on the ballot, you just go from there, right? You got to promote your ass, get out there, get the people to know you, and show and prove. It's time to start voting for people who have actually done stuff, people who are doing things, people who have ideas, right? People who have good ideas, people who are genuine, that really care and have shown this. It's time for these individuals to be elected. So we have to come out and vote for these individuals. We have to come out and support and make sure we make it a point to write our names on their petitions, because they have a whole system. The food distributions drives, that's part of that petition signing signature system. And then they hire certain individuals, sneaky little rats. You want to talk about rats? Those sneaky little rats that somehow come out of the blue. And I know, because listen, I know everything. Folks, to you folks, the ones, that think you're funny, I do things for a reason. Always understand that. Not even going to talk about what I did. I'm going to just let you guys think you did something there, but you didn't, right? And I know the game now, and I'm learning the game now. I'm learning it every day, every day. And they have their food distribution drives. They get these poor folks on here. And I don't mean poor in the sense of monetary. I just mean poor people who don't know what the hell's going on. They get them registered. I shared a video of a guy in Long Island, I believe, did the same thing. They caught him. They investigated him. He was going to people with their ballots. He was pressuring them. They are telling this. He pressured us to sign our names, or we didn't even know what we were signing. He got people to register without them even knowing. So what do you think they do at this food distribution? That's what it's about. Freddie didn't make this up. The volunteers have told me this. People have told me this. Volunteers who are not political. They're just telling me what's going on. As a matter of fact, yeah. So what did they do? And then I get a guy from Florida who wants to go nuts. I'm not trying to insult you, guy, but I'm just saying, if there's an impact to our elections here, our electoral process, we need to do something about it. I'm sorry. And I made it very clear. Get the politicians away from it, dude. Then there's no issue. It's very simple. But the fact that you fight to keep them there makes it more obvious. I mean, if you didn't notice, right? It makes it obvious. But I think soon things will. That's all I'm going to say. And they use that, and no more can they do that moving forward, because we have to step up and put it out there. We have to make the complaints, alert the people, say, hey, we told you this. You should have been investigating it, right? Got an interesting call today, twice. Sorry I missed your call. And I know my voicemail was full, but I will be reaching back out tomorrow morning. Hopefully I will connect with whoever it was from your office that was calling me. Interesting. A lot of interesting things going on. That's all I'm going to know. I'm going to say. And so that's what they do. And Vedat Gashi and this election with Dan Brenda is starting to expose some of this, which is good. Starting to expose this, because he's talking about the only reason that he challenged my petitions or he had filed this lawsuit was just to hurt me economically, to hurt me financially, to bully me, to discourage me, to keep me off the ballot by any means necessary. It was a frivolous lawsuit. And this is what they do to keep people off ballots. And it especially makes it difficult for independent individuals. So we don't have as many choices as we would like to have or as we could have, because they limit it. They control this. They manipulate this. So ultimately, you are voting on someone. Yes, you went on your own to the poll and you cast your vote all on your own. But the individuals that you have to choose from were presented to you to choose from. So that's not freedom of choice. Appeals court unanimously sees past Gashi's baseless lawsuit. Let's get this guy Brenda's name out there. Brenda denounces attempt by Gashi to buy an uncontested election. In a unanimous 4-0 decision, the Second Judicial Department of the New York State Appellate Court today prevented county legislator Vedat Gashi's most recent attempt to prevent ballot access for his Republican opponent, Dan Brenda, in November's election. The appellate court agreed with the initial determination of Judge Hal Greenwald of Westchester County Supreme Court that Gashi offered no evidence to support his 6 baseless accusations of fraud. I appreciate the quick and unanimous decision by the appellate court and by Judge Greenwald at the outset so that we can get to work actually discussing the issues of this campaign, Brenda said. Hopefully this decision by the appellate courts puts an end to the obscene and cynical attempt by my opponent to win this election in the courtroom. However, based on the shameless way Vedat Gashi and his attorneys pursued their baseless allegations and the fact that he succeeded in putting a high dollar value on ballot access. He succeeded on putting a high dollar value on ballot access. And he means that he had to pay for his attorneys in order to ensure that he remained on the ballot, which cost him more money than it should have. More money than a lot of people can afford. And therefore, they're not going to be on that ballot, people that are probably better than the 2 you're having to choose from, or 1 in the case of David Tubiolo. I feel that this is just the first salvo in my opponent's attempt to use the courts and his money to preserve his seat on the County Board of Legislators. Brenda added, I'm grateful for the thorough, professional, and successful work of my bipartisan team of attorneys, John Sarcone and Tom Abenati, who worked under the strain of a compressed court calendar to twice deliver victory. On April 24th, Gashi initiated a candidate aggrieved hearing in Westchester Supreme Court to invalidate Brenda's place on the general election ballot as the nominated Republican candidate. Gashi made 6 unfounded accusations of fraud against Brenda and offered no testimony and presented no evidence to support those claims in the filing and in court. Instead, Gashi's attorney used the trial to harass and badger Brenda during testimony, with nothing but his hopes and prayers for an uncontested re-election and the money to pursue his goal. Gashi, through his attorney, mocked the decisions my family has made to support the quality of life for my wife, who has a significant and painful physical disability that requires frequent surgeries every year. He mocked our decision regarding the education of our children, and he flat out accused me of being a bigot, offering no evidence. Vedat Gashi essentially attempted to bully me into conceding this election before it started, Brenda said. On May 1st, the Supreme Court ruled correctly that Gashi offered no evidence to support his accusation, a ruling that the appellate court unanimously upheld today. However, Brenda said that Gashi's intent was never to prove fraud. Instead, as evidenced by Gashi's appellate brief that significantly distorted Brenda's testimony in an attempt to create a fantasy fact pattern, Gashi's true intention is to force Brenda into an expensive litigation. That's it. That's like when this guy's suing me. It's all about trying to hurt your pockets. Brenda said we should be working to make ballot access easier, especially at the local government level. Instead, Vedat Gashi, on the state Democratic Party machine that has engaged in similar lawsuits up and down the state for years, has signaled that if you can't afford an election lawyer, you can't afford to run for office. People were telling me I needed to hire a ballot attorney to help me with the ballot, to create for the petitions, I should say, to help me create my petition sheet. $8,000. Get out of here. And I did it just fine. But I can point out suspicious things in certain individuals' petitions. I know for a fact, and you would too if you saw the petitions of certain council members, that someone was sitting there writing all those names or signing all of those names. And in fact, there's a rumor going on out there that Steve Chivert was caught in his office sitting there with petition sheets, signing a bunch of names. I mean, it's obvious. Look at the handwriting. There's no way that was more than 1 or 2 people, but it probably was 1. And that's a problem. But if you were to do that, they would make sure they nail you to the cross. And if you didn't do it, they're going to make it so that you did. And you have to hire an attorney now. And this is election manipulation. It is a part of election fraud. Bottom line. Bottom line. This is a symptomatic of the shameful professionalization of local politics, which is poisoning our community with animosity and pitting neighbors against each other on ideological grounds when our end goals are actually aligned. We have the same wants and needs, folks, for the most part, at least the same needs. At the outset of this proceeding, Brenda called for protecting our voting rights by advancing policy proposals to expand ballot access and remove unfair obstacles in New York for candidates, including independent candidates. Protecting ballot access is as important as protecting our right to vote. Without ballot access, the right to vote is meaningless. Absolutely, because you're not really getting to choose. Freely is not fair. You're given 2 people. One of them is just the Mo. They don't want him to win, and they're not going to win or her to win. This happens. They'll clog up a line with some Mo that's not going to go out there and campaign, that's going to be quiet throughout the whole election. Didn't seem like they wanted to win. That's just to plug the line. At the heart of Gashi's complaint is Brenda's second residence in Cold Springs, a small apartment that his family rents on a short lease. They also own their family home in Somers. Brenda's wife lives with a disability that, among other restrictions, make it difficult for her to drive, and the Cold Spring apartment provides a walkable community for her and her children. You know, they'll go after. They don't care if your wife is disabled. They don't care if she's dead. They don't care if she's blind, deaf. They will mock them, make fun of them, attack them. Politics is extremely dirty, which is confusing to me because it's supposed to be about helping and representing people. And it's the dirtiest business I've ever seen. The dirtiest, the grimiest. These people make you want to go really hurt them. Like they have to really, you know, but it's great. Thank you. Because I've worked on my control, my patience. So many people now know me. I really can't, you know, I have to be cool, you know, and I'd be cool. And I've been cool. And I just let them act up. Right, Alberto? Like you acted up that day. I was just cool as a fan, guide in hand. You know what I'm saying? Who said that line? You know what I mean? Yeah. Come to the door. In a unanimous 4-0 decision, I already read this. So yeah, so this is Gashi, campaigning for accountability. Dan Branda calls for transparency in wake of Vedat Gashi's ethics lapse. He's talking about some more stuff here of him not filing in time, some of his financial reports and stuff, which is a problem. A lot of them don't file in time, right? We don't see these things. That was the case with John Rubo's handwriting expert. We didn't see that on his campaign finance stuff for a while. Also, this guy, Yonkers Voice, right? Now we see it. And ironically, or coincidentally, I should say, they have him listed as, or his address as 45 South Broadway. Is it 45, right? It's City Hall or 40 South Broadway, whatever it is, City Hall. Ruros, his office is in City Hall? Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, no, that was a mistake. They just had a Google thing and they checked on Google and they saw that it was City Hall and they just put it on. Oh, yeah. They didn't think, why would he be at City Hall? Let me call him up. Right? Let me call him up and find out because I want to make sure I get this correct because it can't be City Hall. No, it can't be. So they didn't make that. That wasn't a mistake. They actually thought that's where they needed to send the checks because he's just the face of Yonkers Voice. He's just the voice of Yonkers Voice, but he is not the Yonkers Voice production or media company, right? Before he had the people that backed him, he didn't know about copywriting it. He didn't know about incorporating it out in Delaware for reasons, you know, because Delaware has a lot of protections for corporations. That's why you see many companies out in Delaware, even though they operate in other states. Offers a lot of protections. And so he did all that with the help of certain individuals because they saw this as a tool that they can utilize to reach people and influence people and put out the message that they want to put out. And so Basement Politics is putting out a different message, which is why they have tried to discredit me with the help of this Yonkers Voice guy, which is why he does what he does, which is why he put that video of a traumatic experience in my family, and he still keeps it up there as if it wasn't a traumatic experience for me and my wife and my kids, right? As if it wasn't a personal family thing, because it was a family matter. It was always the only family that was involved in that. But he wants to put my family business out there. Why? Because they want me to look bad and he wants to continue to hurt me. He thinks I'm going to stop. He wants to make a deal. If you take everything down, I'll take everything down. No, no deal. No dice. No dice. Who's Dan Branda? Former aide to Rob Astorino to run against George Latimer in 2021. God's got my back. God's going to see me through this. I promise you that. He's always has, man. Always has, man. God is great. And you are the devil, dude, for what you've done. A former aide to the Republican Rob Astorino is looking to unseat Westchester County Executive George Latimer. This is from 2020, but I guess that he ran Dan Branda. He's a former aide to Rob Astorino. He ran against George Latimer in 2021. Interesting. Now he's running against Vedat Gashi. So there you have it, folks. Also, I want to congratulate Dr. Amir Rabadi. And this may have happened a few months ago, but he was named the chief medical staff, chief of the medical staff. I'm sorry if I'm getting the title wrong. St. John's Hospital. As you know, Dr. Rabadi is also the chief medical officer for the Yonkers Public Schools. So congratulations to you on that, that new position there with St. John's Hospital. What else is going on? I think the mayor is back to work. right? We're getting cracking, Mayor, or what? What's going on? You want to come check me or what? You want to come on my show or what, Mayor? You know, I know you know me. You know, you've had conversations about me, right? And you say hi to me all the time. You do, and I appreciate it because you do acknowledge me, and right away you do. And you made me look good the day of the city state of whatever, the state of the city address, because you say hello to me first as you entered the room before anybody else. And I'm just a nobody, you know. So thank you for that. I appreciate that, Mayor. But I look forward to speaking with you, sitting down in your office and you know, presenting you some amazing ideas. And I think that it fits right along with the plan that you are wanting to continue to you know, that the plan that what you said you started, right, and you want to continue, right? Well, if that's the case, then you know, I have an amazing, you know, idea and proposal here. You know, I mean, it's gonna happen, you know, but you know, I'd love to have some support from the mayor. I'd love for you to come by. In fact, I'm even looking to name a scholarship after you, Mayor. You know, the Mike Spano Academic Scholarship, because there are, you know, families out there that may not get subsidies, but they, you know, necessarily don't make enough money to truly afford, or may have more than one children and can't afford to pay for both, right? So we want to give, you know, scholarships out to kids. We're going to make an amazing programs. At the end of the day, it's for me, I'm all about the kids. That's number one. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about, you know, I'm just joking. Like people's like, wow, what? I'm just joking about that. But no, we do look to give scholarships to people because there are certain, you know, kids that, you know, families could use assistance. They may not qualify for subsidies. So we definitely doing that. But we would like the city to be involved. Whoever the mayor is, you know, if it's Mike Spano, if it's Anthony Moranti, right, as it stands now, you know, it's Mayor Mike Spano, and we're rocking and rolling now. So, you know, it'd be great to have the mayor come and see what we're trying to do there. In the event that you do win in November, then you can see what, you know, you can help maybe continue with us, right? Or if not, man, Anthony Moranti, if it is that you are the winner, you know, I would love for you to stop by also, Anthony Moranti. You know, you guys can reach out to me or I'll reach out to you guys. But I would like for our elected officials to all actually reach out to me, and I'll be reaching out to you folks to see what we're trying to do in the community, because I think it's something great and something that is needed. I mean, you have all acknowledged that it's something that is needed, particularly in the community that we are located in. You know, we definitely want to be a positive impact in that community, right? And we need to do a lot. And I think I've already started, right? I think I got a fire hydrant fixed there that was broken for about a week, as the woman told me. That was very dangerous, right? I got a lot of trash cleaned up a few times actually in that neighborhood, right? When I've gone up in there. So, you know, I'm already invested. I don't live there, but it's still my community, still the city of Yonkers. And so we're going to do a lot of amazing things. And we're going to be looking to collaborate with anyone who's looking to collaborate with us, right? You know, I know in that space, sometimes it can get a little competitive, you know, with the nonprofits, which kind of is another thing that kind of blew my mind. I was like, I thought we were trying to, you know, I guess, you know, so I'm not looking to compete with nobody. What I'm looking to do is produce results. What I'm looking to do is make something amazing, something that's worthy of getting highlighted, right? Especially without the constant need of these people that want to just take pictures, you know what I mean, and utilize what we're already doing, the hard work that we're doing day in and day out, so they can have a photo op, right? We don't need that, because we get, you know, we do our own thing and it's known, you know, and people are recognizing us, right? So that's what I love to do. I love to collaborate with anyone who wants to collaborate, because at the end of the day, the goal is to make a positive impact in the lives of every child possible in the city of Yonkers, right? Especially our teenagers, who, you know, we've been seeing a lot of, you know, situations with teenagers and shootings and gang violence, right? So, you know, I'm looking to connect with you folks, you know, you guys that are, you know, interested in that gang stuff. But listen, you may be interested in something else that I could help you with, you know. So reach out to me, Little Prodigies, Little Prodigy Center at gmail.com. I'm going to be there as well tomorrow. If you'd like to stop by, I'm going to be open so people could come by, do an open house again. Be there by 1 o'clock. So if you'd like to stop by, see what's there, what we're going to be doing, you know, again, you know, you're more than welcome. All the elected officials out there, those that talk about wanting to bring change, talk about speaking with developers, about doing things for the community. Well, guess what? Freddie Vasquez is doing something for the community. So why don't you come mess with me? Why don't you come check out what I'm doing? I'm already doing a lot of the legwork, right? There we go. There's no need to talk. Let's get it done. Let's get it popping. You guys do too much talking, man. You guys do too much talk. You see where I'm at. Shout out to those who laughed at my failure. Can you believe that? I'm trying to help a community, kids here, and they're laughing at my failure, right? But you can't succeed unless you fail. That's what I've learned. But if you've ever succeeded, you would know that. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Have a beautiful day. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. I'm going to be here where I'm not going nowhere. That's a fact. So, why don't you come check me out? It's an olive branch. I'm extending it now. It's up to you. Reach out to me. Check out what we're doing over there. Be a part of it. Don't come later on trying to take a photo. Get in from the ground up. And we'll welcome all collaborators. No haters. Collaborators. Shame on you if you try to do something bad to something good. All right? God's watching. Remember that. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Check us out. Email us, littleprodigycenter@gmail.com. The basketball court looks dope. Looks dope. Just got done. Dope. So we're going to be doing basketball, man. Basketball games. Also do soccer. And even, people have talked about hockey and street hockey. If people are interested in that, we definitely could do that. We have that. But we're definitely going to be doing a lot of sports stuff. We got a stage. We want to utilize it. Talent shows, performances, ceremonies. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. We're going to do it big. We want you all to be a part of it. It's not about me. Forget Freddie Vasquez. This is about the community. It's all I care about. Have a beautiful night.